Hi, and welcome to Discover. I'm your host, Nathaniel Watkins, and we have yet another very special episode for you today. First, we have Charlie Harmon on to talk about her experience about her job at MSU's very own Trailblazer. Then, one of our producers, James Literal, will go into the field and interview Leanne Akers about her job at Morehead State Public Radio. Finally, we have the second edition of Sarah's Segments, in which she steps into a day in the life of a member of the Fuzzy Ducks knitting gathering. Thank you for tuning in, and stick around to Discover. Welcome back. I'm here with our first guest, Charlie Harmon. So, Charlie, what are you here to talk to with us about today?
I'm here to talk to you about the Trailblazer.
So, if people at home don't know, what is the Trailblazer?
The Trailblazer, it's the MSU student newspaper.
Okay, so is this newspaper, how is it produced? Do you buy it somewhere or?
It's all online.
It's online?
Yeah.
So what would the website for that be?
The trailblazeronline.net.
Trailblazeronline.net. So how long have you been working with the Trailblazer?
I actually started just this semester.
Just this semester?
Yeah.
Wow. So what is it like in a week in working for the Trailblazer?
Well, every Monday we have our weekly meeting, and that's when we sort of just pitch our story ideas. So after we pitch our ideas, and they're pretty open to letting us do whatever we want, we go out that week and we do our story over whatever.
So what would you say entails in writing a story? What do you have to do?
We have to go to an event and we take pictures, we can take videos, we find people we interview, and after we have all that information, we put together a story and they will edit it for us and it will go online.
All right, so do you think, how does the Trailblazer prepare you for real life?
Well, it just gives you so much experience that you can use just if you get a job in the news or whatever. Like, I've never had any experience with DSLRs or anything like that, but I've already been published. Like, I have photos published, and I have never had any photography experience before.
So what's the favorite thing you think you've done with the Trailblazer so far?
Well, I got to fly a drone the other day and take pictures of a marching band competition.
That's really cool. So if people watching the show wanted to get involved with the Trailblazer, how would they do that?
Well, I would talk to your advisor because I'm a CVM major, so that is a practicum and it's actually a credit hour. So I would talk to your advisor about getting into the class.
All right, that's awesome. I hope the people at home tune in and read about what you guys are doing there at the Trailblazer. Come back to Discover. Welcome back. We're now going to go into the field and see James Literal interview Leanne Akers about her job at Morehead State Public Radio. See you there to Discover.
My name's Leanne Akers. I'm the news director here at Morehead State Public Radio. I am in charge of several different newscasts throughout the day, which are usually completed by our student workers. There's a few shows that happen, and there's a lot of news production, content production that happens throughout the day, and the majority of that is done by student workers. Students are required to go through a training period, and that usually takes a full semester. In order to get started with WMKY. Most of my students take a practicum class through the Convergent Media Department, and they work with Tim Creekmore or with John Flavel, and they learn a little bit about media writing. They kind of learn the ropes before they come here, and then I kind of give them a crash course, a boot camp, if you will, on broadcast journalism because it's different than writing for television or writing for print journalism. And we train and go from there. But there are some students who come in and within their first or second week, their voice is on the air. They may not be live, but they're on the air pretty fast. And we couldn't do it without. We could not have Morehead State Public Radio newscasts 8 times a day if it wasn't for the students. The students conduct interviews. They write the stories. They record the newscast, they do live newscasts, they do live interviews, they come up with story ideas, and they're always thinking about what's happening, and that's valuable to us, of course, but it's also valuable to them because they're getting hands-on professional training throughout their entire career, their educational career. they're gaining this valuable experience as a professional journalist and as someone who works with public radio. So when a person who comes in to Morehead State Public Radio and gets a job as a freshman, or does an internship or does a practicum as a freshman, can come out of school, graduate with their bachelor's degree in 4 years of professional experience. And that's something that a lot of the different majors here on campus just can't offer because there's not enough time to do both. Working for WMKY is very rewarding. I get to know a lot of people that are in the community, a lot of what's going on in the community in Morehead and Rowan County and the surrounding areas. I get to know newsmakers and politicians and people who work for nonprofits and all the wonderful and the not so wonderful things that happen in the community. So that's a really good experience for me, to really get to know where I live and all the great people that live here. It's a lot of fun, and I really believe in the program because I'm a product of the program. Well, I actually started working here as a student back in my college days. So I came here on a federal work study and got the opportunity to work with my mentor and friend, Chuck Mraz, and he gave me an opportunity to learn how to do journalism. I was not a journalism student. Convergent Media did not exist at that time, and we learned about how to do interviews and how to get in touch with people and how to track down facts and where to get information from, and I learned to do it from him.
Welcome back. I'm happy to announce that we have the second edition of Sarah's segments, and here with me I have Sarah Finley herself. So Sarah, what did you make this segment about this week?
Well, this week I went to the Fuzzy Duck and I found like a knitting group, and I decided to get to know about 3 of those women.
That sounds really cool. Let's discover.
There are mysteries, and then there are
I'm Susan Thomas, and I'm the managing partner at Coffee Tree Books. And our knitting group got started about 3 years ago. My mother and I decided to put yarn in the bookstore. We had been asked, since I moved back from Nashville in 2004, and I was repeatedly asked, why don't you open a yarn shop? But I was running the bookstore and working at the coffee shop, and quite frankly, I had enough to do. But we decided we had enough space in here that we could go ahead and add yarn and start teaching classes, because it was hard. There wasn't really a knitting community here. So it sort of grew very slow. I mean, we put some yarn in, we had some knitters, people showed up, and then they wanted more time. So we added another day. And so then they wanted more time. We added another, and so 3 is the max. But we do, 3 days a week, we have a time set aside, and so people can come, they hang out, they work on their projects. If they want help getting started on a new project, we can help them with that. If they're in the middle of a project and they hit a snafu, they can come in and we can help. We'll have a few younger kids, like high school kids, come occasionally, but we usually have a couple of college kids, and then it goes all the way through. My grandmother comes 1 day a week, and she's 97. But everyone's welcome. And it's not just women. I've had some male college kids take my class, which is fun because they make totally different things and they use different colors and they're attracted to different projects, and so that makes it really interesting.
Susan Thomas called me after I had finished some chemotherapy and said that you need to get your mind active on something else. What I like about the knitting group here is that it's a community, and for me it's been a support group. Going through cancer treatment for the last 3 years, and so it's been a huge support group for me.
I started coming to the knitting when I started working here. I actually work at the Fuzzy Duck, so that's been about 2 years now. I like that you can get help, and Susan actually taught me to knit. I started with crochet and taught myself, but you get help from lots of different people that have experience in different kinds of knitting because there are different techniques for different projects.
and I was showing him these songs, and he said, "What is it?" So I said, "Well,
Thank you once again for tuning in to the 4th episode of Discover. I'm your host, Nathaniel Watkins, and I would like to give a special thank you to our guest, Charlie Harmon, and to our producers, James Litteral and Sarah Finley, for going out into the field to get some very special segments for us to watch. Thank you all for watching, and please tune in next time to discover some more. See you then.